I think I'm going to start with the video first. Yes. Okay.
Shut down his. Not hearing anything now.
Hello, Hawks. President Brian McGee here. I'm often talking to you about
Hang on just a second.
Hello Hawks, President Brian McGee here. I'm often talking to you about specific events on campus or things that are happening day by day. No event makes me more excited than the Academic Symposium. Each year we recognize your academic achievements, your original research projects, your creative endeavors, and we have the opportunity to showcase those for our entire community, whether face-to-face or online. Doing so is an essential part of our academic mission. It shows the world what it is that Quincy University students can do and are doing each and every day in classrooms, labs, and across this campus. I'm so excited you're here today. I'm so excited for the opportunity you have to demonstrate all that you've learned, all that you've engaged, all that you've studied, and I'm just thrilled that you have a chance to showcase your work before your campus community, your friends, your family, and the world. God bless. It's always a great day to be a Hawk.
Then are you going to tell me when? You'll tell me when to start? Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to the 5th Annual Academic Symposium Awards Ceremony. This week's student presentations made me very proud to be part of the QU tradition of excellence. Student presenters and mentors, please stand so that we may recognize you with a round of applause. I know we had many presenters that were unable to be with us today because of previous engagements, so we do want to definitely thank them and congratulate them later. Dr. Deskins, thank you for your support and vision in making this possible and successful. Thank you, Chartwells and Joe Borderwick and Chris Blakeman for the excellent meals and snacks throughout the week. Dan Kemner, thank you for the setup and making sure that we have everything we need each and every year. Community Relations, Matt Bergman, Jen Wingerter, Sandy Trudell, Bill Baird, thank you for your skills and your time spent promoting, videotaping, and providing website support. Jim Lawrence, thank you, you and your team, for working to live stream every event and making this a really incredible symposium for all to see. Thank you also to students that have come out to support their peers. Your enthusiasm is a powerful motivator. We hope to see you all presenting next year during the Academic Symposium. If I've overlooked a name, please forgive me and thank you. At this time, I'm very excited to invite Dr. Joe Coelho to the stage as our keynote speaker. Dr. Coelho will be presenting Sex, Bugs, and Rock and Roll, Insects in Music Videos. Dr. Coelho.
Thanks, Kristen. Probably been waiting my whole life to give a talk entitled Sex, Bugs, and Rock and Roll, much less entitling a paper the same way. Although Barb probably remembers that was the title of my FYE class back in the day when we had FYE and everybody adopted cockroaches and we had cockroach races at the end of the semester. Oh yeah, the only students who took it were the ones who couldn't fit anything else in their schedule. All right. Let's get started. So this talk falls under the discipline known as cultural entomology, which might be a new thing for you. It is a science that tries to understand how we feel about insects and how we express that through things that we make like art and music and literature and a whole diversity of things. And it might seem a little fluffy, and in fact I was kind of made fun of when I started doing this kind of work. And then it turns out, you know, these are the papers of mine that are cited the most and I get the most attention and whatever fame, you know, I have, as compared to my other studies of wasp barf and, you know, things of that nature that are apparently less appealing to most people. It is not fluff, however, because we're now in a period that's probably an insect apocalypse. That is, like other groups of organisms around the world, they're in a steep decline, and it's very worrisome. And it turns out that how we feel about animals and plants determines, to some extent, what we do with them, right, and how we treat them. An example I heard recently is that because raccoons are presented as cute little cuddly animals in cartoons, people have imported them all over the world as pets. Raccoons do not make good pets. They make terrible pets. And now they've been turned loose and are introduced invasive exotic species in lots of other countries. And that's a very bad thing. All right. So I've been working this vein for a while, mostly in popular music. And I decided to do this one on music videos, in part because it's a visual medium and it's relatively new. Now in science, we can use the geological scale when we're talking about relatively new, but we can even, in the sense of modern culture, say that this is relatively new. I mean, MTV didn't go on the air until 1981. So I know that's ancient history for you students, but for a lot of us, it seems like yesterday. So I would then be able to compare the results of this study with earlier works on things like, insect movies from the 1950s. And this might give us a better insight into how attitudes have changed towards insects. By the way, the first video played on MTV was something called Video Killed the Radio Star by the Buggles. There are no insects in that video, but the Buggles is an insect pun, and it was actually a takeoff on the Beatles, which is another insect pun. So they've kind of been in there from the start. So how do you do this kind of stuff? Well, you have to get data, right? And luckily, all the videos are on YouTube these days. So YouTube has a search engine. It's fairly simple. So I took the songs and artists that I had found before in my previous studies. Yeah, that's back before some of you were born, I know. Been at this a while. And we simply took those names and put them into YouTube and see if anything came up. And for most entries, you do get something, right? Something will come up, but it's not always a real video. Sometimes it's a static image from which we get no data. And I did this repeatedly. I also took advantage of minions. In my entomology class, it would have been a year ago, last fall. Towards the end of the fall semester, it gets kind of cold out and there aren't many insects out in the world. So we sat in the computer lab, one lab, and just did searches for videos, and they kind of enjoyed watching things. And we got some of the data that way. Anyway, I also took random entries. I appealed on social media for people to submit songs that they knew about. And it worked pretty well. We got quite a few. We also used a list of search terms, right, like butterfly and insect and roach and so forth, to see what would come up. And there's quite a bit out there. Once I got a video with insects in it, I recorded things like the artist, the album, if they had one. You don't have to have an album these days, right? The song title and whatever year the song came out. And then I analyzed it for the types of insects present, different themes in the video, and I would write down a brief description for myself. Ended up with 234 videos, which is a pretty good sample size considering, I'm a physiologist and a sample size of 6 can be adequate for some studies. So I was happy with that. About 4% were artists that actually had insect names, 13% albums with insect names. But really, if the song had an insect in the title, it had a pretty good chance of having insects in the video. And usually, it's the insects that's named, right? So if the song is about locusts, then there's probably going to be locusts in the video, not surprisingly. There were some repeat offenders in the data, groups that used insects in their videos repeatedly. Now for Alien Ant Farm here, they mostly just showed their logo in different videos. So that wasn't terribly exciting. But Die Antwoord from South Africa used insects for shock value in a lot of different videos in a lot of different ways. And if you want to be shocked, I encourage you to go watch their videos because they are weird. Okay, but what this does basically is kind of a proof of the database, right? It's not just a few artists that are making all the insect videos. So we're really getting a diversity of opinions, if you will, on this. There were a couple of groups that went the extra mile, however, in which the group has an insect name, the album has an insect in the name, the song has an insect in the name, the album has cover art with insects on it, and in fact, the videos have insects in them. There were two, Papa Roach and Wu-Tang Killa Bees. So that was kind of fun, although, you know, doesn't contribute much to our data. All right, so taxonomically, what insects do we see in insect videos? Number one, right off the bat, butterflies and moths. Not too surprising. When I did the study on cover art, that was also number one, right? If you want things that are pretty and colorful in a visual medium, that's what you do, right? You go for the pretty butterflies and moths. And they have a overall positive quality to them. People think good things about butterflies and moths, right? So they have a good reputation, in other words, that people will take advantage of. Number two, ants, bees, and wasps in second place. Also not terribly surprising. In this group, what you get is the best of both worlds because people think bees are cute, right? Bees make honey, this is all good. But then you have, you know, wasps have a sting and they can be menacing and scary. So in the Hymenoptera, you can work both sides of that fence, and that gives them a lot of results, right? You get them used a lot. Then we have a number of groups that are kind of similar in their numbers. Spiders, almost always used for shock value, right? Put a big tarantula in the video because that's scary. Flies, kind of gross. People don't like flies. This also includes mosquitoes and maggots, which also do not have a good reputation. So if you want shock value in your video, then you put those in. And beetles and grasshoppers, well, they're kind of middle of the road groups. In terms of temporal trends, there seems to be an increase in the number of music videos with insects in them, which we can see going way back. Actually, the oldest one I have is about 1951. This is Chubby Checker with a performance of Do the Fly, in which they actually do fly-like dances and they make buzzing noises and stuff. So that counts. But there's not too much early on. But with the onset of MTV, you start getting more music videos. And then you get an increase, and a big, steep increase over the last interval. We're still in the middle of the recent interval. That's why it's still kind of small. I'm not sure how real this trend is, though, because overall the music industry grows, right? So it might be sort of a constant percentage of the number of music videos out there. But still, it's not going down, right? It's not level. It's encouraging that people are using insects in their videos. Some of the themes that we see in insects in popular culture include swarms and infestations, and for that I would count anything with 4 or more insects on the screen at the same time. And that was a really common trend. About a quarter of the videos had you know, a fair number of insects in them. And foremost among these was locust, which literally has swarms of millions of locusts moving across the screen for almost the whole video. Yeah, you pretty much can't escape them. Another trend that you see is characters with a mix of insect and human qualities, and I call those chimeric animals. Usually it's just some human in a bee costume. You might recognize the little girl from the Blind Melon video. But sometimes it's something grotesque like, The Fly, like the movie The Fly, where the man has an insect head. But it was a lesser of a theme than the swarm theme. Then you have the giant theme, as seen here. I want to say I was just about done with the data collection phase about a year ago, and then one of my favorite groups, The Offspring, comes out with an album called Let the Bad Times Roll, and their lead video is this one right here with a giant cockroach wearing a timely mask for the pandemic, right? But still, there weren't many giants in the videos, which was a little surprising. On the album covers, there were lots of giants, there were lots of chimery, so that was kind of a change in things. One of the things I noticed in a lot of the videos was animation. And in some of the early studies of insects in movies, animation was kind of rare. And if you think about it, it's hard to animate insects, right? Because you've got 6 legs, you've got 2 antennae, you've got 4 wings. That's a lot of moving parts to deal with. But apparently it's gotten easier because there were lots of animated videos or animated insects in videos, including some of the really difficult ones to do like claymation and stop motion that really take a lot of time to put together. This is a claymation, I don't know how well you can see it. There's a 6-legged alien here and it's got compound eyes and that makes it close enough to an insect. This is from an Australian group called the Psychedelic Porn Crumpets. One of the fun things about this study was that I discovered new groups that I was unaware of before, and these guys are actually really good. If you like rock music, they're super. All right, so groups are going out of their way, spending money to make these videos that are kind of hard to make. There was also some live insects. Now, one advantage is to the animated insect is that you can make the insect do whatever you want, whereas live insects pretty much don't do that, right? It's really hard to get them to behave, not like a trained dog or something like that. Nonetheless, there were plenty of live insects in videos. Sometimes they just took stock footage and incorporated it into the video, but sometimes they actually filmed something like the bees on this turntable that's from a Missy Elliott video. Some of them might be familiar to you, like monarch butterflies, honeybees, Madagascar hissing cockroaches, which were the ones that we used in my FYE class, mealworms, which are commonly used as pet food, if you have lizards, and the Atlas moth, which is the largest moth on Earth. Some groups took advantage of the incredible diversity of insects. In fact, 2 different groups used 10 different orders of insects in their videos. There were only 30 orders total, right? So that was fairly impressive. But, they were named the insect song and insect. So here's an example. This is from Darth Nader, just a bunch of different insects in the insect song. Some groups took advantage of some trendy subjects and incorporated those into their song or created a song around them. And this is not necessarily that new. You might be aware that last year there was a big emergence of periodical cicadas, and it made the press a lot because it was the Great Eastern Brood, which occurred mostly back east. So a lot of the big cities back east were going to get these cicadas. We didn't get them here yet. We'll get some in a couple of years. Anyway, some took advantage of that and made a new song, this one called Brood X. But there were already some around from previous emergences that were dedicated to cicadas, including Southern Culture on the Skids, Cicada Rock 2020. So that was, a previous brood. By the way, I've seen Southern Culture on the skids, and they're really good. They also have other insect songs like Green-tailed Fly, so check them out if you get the chance. And there's a pretty funny one called Sick of Cicadas, which is probably the only negative one in the group. You probably also heard the term murder hornets over the last year or two. They've never been called that until someone in the press called them that. Pay attention, communication majors, right? You can have an influence on culture, sometimes not in a good way, right? These are only murderous to honeybees, right? And entomologists have known about them forever. All entomologists know about them because it's a really cool story in that they do attack beehives and they eat the babies and take the honey and all that kind of stuff. But the bees have a special defense in which they can form a ball around them, heat themselves up, and cook the wasp to death. So it's a neat trick. Anyway, 3 different groups decided to take advantage of that and make a song about the Asian giant hornet, Vespa mandarinia, and of course had some images of the hornet in their videos. One neat thing I was able to do with this study was to look at the success of the songs and the videos that I found. And it turns out, MTV has the Video Music Awards, which they didn't start until they were 3 years into it. And guess what? The very first one that they chose as an award winner was You Might Think by the Cars, which shows the late Rick Ocasek's head on a fly buzzing around during part of the video. So there you go. There's a chimeric insect, and it wins first place. Since then, there have been a few more. 4 out of the total possible 37 for 10%, which is pretty darn good, right? They're apparently making an impact on these awards, and certainly not being avoided by the award givers for having insects in them if they were really kind of thought of as negative influences. There were a couple of others, Best Visual Effects by Tears for Fears in 1990, and one was Grammy nominated. Have you ever seen Gnarls Barkley's Gone Daddy Gone? It has computer animated fleas and stuff running over dogs. It's hilarious. Anyway, check that one out when you get a chance. There were also some songs that had insects in the videos in which the song became a #1 hit. And there are dozens of different charts that they might have been #1 in. I kind of listed them there, but quite a number here that might sound familiar. We already saw Blind Melon, some more recent ones, Katy Perry, and some old 80s stuff like Talk Talk, Tears for Fears. There's the Cars again. So, videos are often made to support the song, right, to make it sell more. And to me, it looks like it's working. All right, what can we conclude? Overall, there were a lot of positive themes represented. The use of butterflies, as positive influences. Taking the time to use animation. All of these things, the great success of insects. All these things indicate that, the attitudes may have been changing. That people might have a better view of insects these days than they did, say, back in the 1950s, where we had movies like Them, exclamation point, that's about giant ants, The Giant Praying Mantis, right, Tarantula, and there's a whole list of these movies about giant or scary insects that were clearly made to shock and horrify people. And it kind of looks like that we're beyond that, and I hope that's true, not only for, the bugs, but, for the earth as a whole. So if you're a Franciscan, you ought to feel a little better about this. All right, and that's about all I've got. I did list also in the program the URLs for the actual paper upon which this talk is based is there. You can go read the whole darn thing. I created playlists on YouTube including like the 10 best, in my opinion. I don't know if they're everybody's opinion. The 10 best videos that I liked are in one playlist, and then the whole darn data set practically. If you want to get those, you can. So those are available to you. Thank you.
Do we have any questions?
Nobody? Thank you all for coming. I'm sure lunch was a great incentive, but you came anyway.
Thank you, Dr. Coelho. That was wonderful. We're going to take a short break, about 10 minutes, and then we'll begin promptly with our award ceremony. So you can use the restroom, get more food, and we'll see you in a few minutes.
Pin,
Yeah, we could write it on the back of them or in the front of them.
right, to say that we can send them either to their mentor or something that we can give it to them. But yeah, we can wait for, so yeah, so I guess,
Let's start at, what time do we start? 12:50?
yeah, 12:50 is good.
Okay. Perfect.
So, I don't know how we should want to start it, but,
Yeah, so what do we want to say first?
well, I guess all I had, this is just stuff that I copied from Michelle, would be where we want to mention that everybody's going to get a pin, and that later each presenter or mentor will get a certificate, and then on the next page it talks about, additionally, first place gets money, like announce that to everybody, but that comes from the thing, and then that we have the judging, and then we want to make sure we announce at the
For the
end,
group picture.
at the end for that.
So do you want to do up through this and then I can do like this part and then,
Yeah, we could start that way.
so I can pick up what judging was done by,
I just don't know, should we mention for every time we announce somebody that they will come up and to take a picture and then get a pin, and then at the end,
yeah, so.
I wrote, it says group twice, but I meant, because I was just copying some stuff, but I was going to say,
Yeah, for
do
this
one.
one I can say with the mentor and the students will take a picture when they get their pins, and then at the end of the entire ceremony we want to get everyone.
Yes.
Okay.
So that way you'll start with that part. Okay.
Okay.
And so then that means I will then do maybe the first one. So if we do it this way, one, and then you do business analytics.
Okay.
And then I do marketing, and I do psychology.
And I do
You
psychology.
do psychology? Okay.
Because you did marketing.
Okay, yeah. You psychology, me communications, you graphic design. And so the way that I did graphic design, since you're doing it, is that we judged all of them for feedback-wise, but technically this is the one of hers that got first place, and this is the one that got second place. So I just
Okay.
thought we would announce, instead of announcing like, same person got
Oh, okay.
fifth and third, whatever, because that sounds, whatever. We did judge them all, but just to say, in second
Okay.
place for his Madrid, whatever. Just the, first place for her. Does that make
Okay.
sense?
Yep.
And then I'll do English. Then you got. So do we want to say, I guess I'll show up the pins and then say that, I don't know, and say that,
Yeah.
each participant's going to earn, okay, and that we're going to be handing out we'll be handing out pins. Maybe I should say that, and then that way you don't have to say. Okay. Well,
We can be repetitive, it's fine.
are you ready? All right, everybody, thank you for attending our awards ceremony. I am Caitlin Deskins, and this is
Kimberly Hale.
and we are going to announce the winners of this year's symposium. Every participant in the academic symposium, as well as their mentor, will receive a lapel pin. This is something that you can add to your graduation gown. You can pin it on. Students who do multiple years can have, multiple pins, so that way you can, show off how many times you've done the academic symposium. As well as each presenter and their mentors will be getting a commemorative certificate here in the next few weeks. And additionally, first place presentations are actually going to be awarded $100 per each of the presenters as well as each of their mentors. And the money awards will come directly from the business office, so that you should look forward to something like that in your mailbox.
So judging was done by an invited panel of expert and non-expert judges from the QU community. Feedback from official judges will be forwarded to student presenters and their mentors for professional development. At the end of the awards, actually, after we announce each winner, they will come up with their mentor if they're here, and they will get their pins, as Dr. Deskins was saying, and then they'll also take a picture, and then we want everyone to stay, and then at the end, we're going to get a picture of all of the participants, all of the mentors. And we also want to just, again, thank the judges for all of their hard work in judging all of the presentations.
All right, so we're going to start with our projects from the Oakley School of Business in accounting. Our second place winner is the project entitled Enron, Greed, Manipulation, and Auditing Failures Unpacked. Our presenters were Rodney Maynor and Nathan Lawton, and their mentor is Dr. Vicki Edson. Come on. Thank you, guys. And our first place winner is the project entitled The Fall of WorldCom. Our presenters were Sarah Wilson and Sydney Johnston, and their mentor is Dr. Vicki Edson.
All right, now we're going to do awards for business analytics. So our third place winners is the project entitled Business Analytics and Product Flow. The presenter is Thomas Conzenius, and the mentor is Dr. Dana Walker. He's not here? Okay. And then the second place is the project entitled Cognitive Analytics, presenter Felipe Santana, and mentor Dr. Dana Walker. No? All right. I'll get the pen ready. And then first place is Data Visualization, presenter Vincent Bowen, and mentor Dr. Dana Walker. He's not here either. I thought he was here.
Okay.
Do you want your pen?
Do you want to come get a pen? I thought I saw Vincent at one point, but maybe not. Dana doesn't want to take a picture by himself, I'm sure. All right, for our projects from marketing, our second place winners are our Quincy Riverfront Expansion Research Project. Our presenters were Paula Martinez and Daniel Sanchez. Their mentor was Jennifer Breeden.
Okay.
Okay. We'll hand you your pen in a minute. All right, and our first place winner for our marketing was Healthcare at Home. Presenter Samuel Constable. Mentor was Selena Stegeman.
All right, so now awards for psychology. Oh, sorry. These are now from the School of Education and Human Services. So now psychology. So in sixth place, we have the effects of listening to music while studying. Presenter Nicole Hilgenbrink and mentor Dr. Christina Mousakis. In fifth place, looking for the connection of stress and grades. Presenter Brendan Walker and mentor Dr. Christina Mousakis. In fourth place, the project entitled The Effects of Musical Difficulty on Musician Confidence, presenter Caleb Harbin and mentor Dr. Christina Mousakis. In third place, the project entitled The Relation Between Our Senses of Sight and Taste, presenter Chelsea Hooker and mentor Dr. Christina Mousakis.
There she is. Finally, somebody.
Where is I on second place? All right. So then in second place, the project entitled Music's Effect on Effort Put into Workouts by Student Athletes, presenter Bailey Heiberger, mentor Dr. Christina Mousakis. And then in first place, the project entitled Media Influence in Our Political Sphere, presenter Jordan Hester, mentor Dr. Christina Mousakis.
All right. So now we're going to look at projects from the School of Fine Arts and Communication. In first place, our project from Communications is First Responders Toolkit, Characteristics of Beneficial Responses to Sexual Assault Survivors. Our presenter, Madison Norris, with her mentors, Dr. Barb Schleppenbach and Nora Baldner. Barb is the one who comes. She should come stand up.
All right, and then from graphic design, we have in second place the project entitled Madrid 2032, presenter Peyton Weiserman and mentor Gary Meacher. This one doesn't have a pen. Right. Yeah. Yeah, you got to take a picture. And then in first place in graphic design, is it
She wanted for her
Yayoi?
Sure.
The project entitled Yayoi Kusama illustration, presenter Melissa Howe and mentor Gary Meacher. Yes. All right, and now we're moving on to awards from the School of Humanities. So we're going to start with English. So in second place is Hamlet and Graphic Novels, a pedagogical approach of bringing purpose to Shakespeare, presenter Megan Solomon and mentor Dr. Jamie Peacock. And then in first place, The Tragedy of Truman Burbank, a comparative analysis of Peter Ware's The Truman Show and William Shakespeare's Hamlet, presenter Austin Reese and mentor Dr. Jamie Peacock.
And from the School of Science and Technology, from the Department of Biology, our second place winner was the presentation entitled Biological and Chemical Investigation of Aplasia californicae. Our presenters were Sarah Nelsa and Delaney Lance, with mentor Dr. Kimberly Hale. And our first place project from biology was the effects of handling the Aplasia californica on the inking protocol and the ink quality. Our presenters were Victoria Aikita and Adam Lay, with mentor Dr. Kimberly Hale.
All right, and then from chemistry, we have the effects of kitchen spices on the gastrointestinal system. Presenters Bailey Keller, Abby Haas, and Elena Rolves, and mentor Dr. Caitlin Duskins.
Either. And finally, our last projects are from the Department of Computer Science. In third place, we have The Lost Pets of Quincy. Our presenters were Cy Kovacevic and Ryan Mills. Mentor Dr. Hussam, I also don't know how to say it. Ghazala. All right, our second place project was predicting mid and large cap U.S. stock using daily prices with machine learning. Our presenters were Logan Klitzig and Cooper Coleman, and their mentor was Dr. Hussam Ghazala. And in first place for computer science, the project was called Custom Clubs. Our presenters were Carrie Hurt and Allison Goggin, with mentor Dr. Hussam Ghazala. This concludes the award ceremony. Please feel free to stay and socialize. If everybody, all the mentors and presenters that are present here can come for a group photo, we would love to see you guys. So thank you all for coming. I don't know how to say his name. Oh.
I know, see?
Words is hard. Reading is hard.